Welcome to week 3 of our Lenten Campaign, and in this week we are talking and reflecting on the sanctity and the dignity of human life. We are happy today, as we reflect on the beauty and the value of life, to be joined by our dear Father, and we welcome him to reflect with us. And as he reflects with us, we also come to understand that we are not just called to be human beings, but we are called to protect the human life that God has given us. So, Father, welcome.
Thank you.
And you may introduce yourself for this.
My name is Father Jean-Paul Katembo Muhandiro, a Comboni missionary working in Kenya and serving at Napenda Kuishi Rehabilitation Program Trust as the director. I'm very happy to join New People Media Center in this reflection as we journey towards the celebration of Easter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father. And as we continue with this Lenten reflection, I think the church was very, very wise to bring in the issue of human life. And when we think about the sanctity and the dignity, maybe in the simplest way, how would you explain dignity and sanctity of human life?
Allow me to say that sanctity of life and human dignity is at the center of the social teaching of the Catholic Church. And the human person is also at the center of evangelization. Therefore, we cannot talk of evangelization without focusing on the human being, who is the first beneficiary of the evangelizing mission of the church. Now, in simpler terms, sanctity of life refers to life as a gift from God. You know, when you go back to our biblical foundation, especially in the book of Genesis, we see that basically life is a gift from God. As a gift from God, it has to be protected and it has to be received by us. And therefore, it is our mission, it is our responsibility, each individual, to make sure that this gift that we receive from God is not only protected, but also promoted. And then when we talk about human dignity, you know, it refers to the fact that each person, each individual person has got dignity. And this dignity is referred to in the social teaching of the church as infinite. Last year, or maybe 2 years ago in 2024, the church made a declaration about human life. A declaration that basically came to reaffirm the strong belief of the church, and especially when it comes to human dignity. And the document was released by the Dicastery for Doctrine of Faith, and the title is Dignitas Infinita, which basically refers to life as, of course, as I said, as a gift from God. And when it comes to our dignity as human being, is infinite in the sense that it does not have a beginning and an end. And when we talk about human life from the perspective of the Catholic Church, we refer to life from conception to natural death. And therefore, this dignity is beyond situations and circumstances. Does not depend on particular situation, but it has to be respected at all time, regardless the social status, regardless the level of education, regardless the status of the human person, disabled or not disabled. It goes beyond those realities. So just to say that sanctity of life and human dignity, it is at the center of the social teaching of the Catholic Church.
When we look at maybe our society today, are there things that maybe people are doing or we ourselves are doing that are maybe going against this dignity that is God-given, that we find ourselves not really respecting the human life that we have?
Yeah, when you look at the current society, uh, of course, objectively, regardless of your affiliation, religious affiliation, political affiliation, you'll see clearly that there are a lot of violations of human dignity that are going on in the world. And that's why the church is very, very much present, very much involved in addressing those particular issues. And when we talk about violations of human dignity, it goes up to issues of, right for the workers. It goes up to the issues of human trafficking. It goes up to the issues of abortions, issues of gender, human exploitation, and all that. So it is a topic, a subject that is really all embracing the whole reality of our human life.
And mostly when we look at that, are there economic things that are leading us maybe to these issues of maybe not respecting human life? Are there economic issues that would maybe lead people in that direction of exploiting one another, and at the end we don't even respect the life that God has given us?
Now, the bottom line of the whole discussion on sanctity of life, human dignity, is basically the perception that we have of a human person. There is a tendency in the current world to define a human person mostly in terms of freedom, in the sense that people are free to do whatever they want with their lives. People are free to do whatever they want with their bodies. And therefore, freedom becomes the criteria even in making choices and decisions. So we witness a kind of divorce between freedom and truth. Uh, and this becomes a serious issue. But even when we talk about violations of human dignity, it goes to, of course, also economic, issues. But basically, in situations of poverty, people are left without choices, and sometimes they are pushed to make choices that at the same time is making them to diminish and also to lose their dignity. Earlier on, I referred to the declaration by the Dicastery of Doctrine of Faith, and I remember the document that was released by in 2024. And in this document, it is making a kind of distinction between the different dignities that a human person has got. There is the ontological dignity that basically refers to the dignity that belongs to each person by the fact that they exist, and that is shared by all beings by the fact that we are all created by God, wanted by God or willed by God, but also loved by God. And this ontological dignity is infinite, as I mentioned, and is unalienable and also indelible, in the sense that it cannot be taken away, is permanent. And that's what we share all as human beings. But then there is the social dignity that basically refers to the lifestyle of the people, the choices they make. Connected to that, there is the moral dignity, and that's what I was saying about the choices that we make. the use of our freedom and our conscience. And then we have the existential dignity that basically is all about how I live my life in the sense of having joy, having peace, having fulfillment. Because there are some people who, maybe from the economic point of view, do not lack anything, but maybe they do not have joy and the peace they want. So that deals with the existential dignity. So it's very important that when we talk about human dignity, we consider all those aspects. There is one aspect that is fundamental, which is the ontological dignity that we all share, that cannot be taken away, that we have by the fact that we exist as created by God. But then there is the social dignity, the moral dignity that sometimes we can lose depending on circumstances and situations.
At least we understand that there is the issue of freedom. And when we come back, maybe in the situation of Kenya, you get like recently, or we have seen that we have had issues of election violence, and we have seen people being maybe killed, and others are jailed just because of those issues of election violence. When we look at that, we are looking at the moral in that. What would you explain, or how would you talk about the election and the violence that it brings? And then at the end of the day, the human life in that, either people are killed or others are jailed. What is the morality in that?
Yeah, when it comes to elections issue, the question that I always ask myself is the elections that take place in Africa, mostly. Allow me to talk about Africa, and of course, considering our particular situation of Kenya, the elections, to whom do they profit? Because basically, we bring in the conflict between, of course, the leaders and the people. Normally, the elections are tools that are made to give power to the people, that the people have got the freedom to choose the leaders that are going to serve them. And from the democratic point of view, basically power belongs to the people. But what we see around is basically that in truth and in reality, power does not belong to the people. People are being manipulated. So the elites, the political class, they use the poverty of the people, the vulnerability of the people, especially the young people. We know how many young people are jobless, and therefore it becomes easy to manipulate them because they do not have an option. They are desperate, they are jobless, and therefore the politician use their situation to create an agenda that is usually very appealing because the situation of poverty is used to convince the people that you see you're suffering because of the current leadership. So their situation is not used as their situation is used as a tool, to access to power. And therefore, we see that young people become very vulnerable. They are being manipulated, and the 50 shilling, 100 shillings that are being given to them when they come to this political rally basically is an act of selling their own dignity. And it is very sad that most of the time, all these activities, they end in violence because the main goal is not to promote these people, is not to serve these people, but is to use them to access to power. And it is very sad when we see that people, for especially the leaders, for the sake of accessing to power, they are ready to sacrifice even human life. And that's why you see people being killed, people being abducted, people disappearing. And in the recent past, we saw even some narratives about femicides and all these kind of things. And it is very sad to realize that our leaders are ready to sacrifice the life of the people they're supposed to serve for them to access the power. And therefore, it is the responsibility of the young people, of everybody, the citizen, to be awake and not to accept this manipulation. And therefore, most of the time, I always believe that, of course, the political class, the elite, has got its responsibility, but the people also themselves, they have to take their own responsibility. And that's why the church is engaged in civic education, helping the people to understand their rights, their responsibility, and to make sure that they are able to hold accountable the people they choose, so that at least they can account for the lives of the people that are lost, the situation of poverty, unemployment, because those are serious issues of our human dignity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So talking about the leaders, and we bring in the issues of systems, do you think that our systems and the practices that we have do really support the human dignity? Do we have systems that do support that, or our systems need some panobiting here and there so that at least they keep on supporting the human life that we're talking about?
Now, as we address this issue of human dignity, I would like to note that as a country and as institutions, we have all the texts that really promote life. When you read the Constitution of Kenya, Article 26, you'll see clearly that human right is promoted. Human dignity is promoted, Article 28 of the Kenyan Constitution. So, as far as the institutions are concerned, I think provisions are there to promote life. But then it comes back to individuals, because I believe strongly that even these institutions, they're run by individuals. So then we go back to our belief system. As a person, do I believe, in human dignity? How do we treat each other? It goes back even to our education. It goes back to our families. How do we treat each other? Basically, it's all about that. Now, when I see somebody who is different from me, how do I treat that person? How even children are treated in families. Are we not running families with, parents who discriminate children according to their capacity? A child who is smarter is loved more by the parents than the other one who is struggling. That is already a violation, a discrimination that is taking place in the family. And the same attitude is carried out in institutions where people are treated according to their social status, and therefore, people who have got the same opinion with me becomes my friend. Those who have got a different opinion become my enemy. And I start even mistreating them. So, as much as we may talk about reforms in institutions, it goes back to an individual. How do I treat my brother? How do I treat my sister? How do I relate to this person who is different from me? Who maybe is not educated like me? Who maybe has not got an opportunity of better job or better social status? So it goes back to an individual, each one of us. So my point is, as much as we try to address our institutions and the people in leadership, it goes back to each individual, personal commitment. Because in one words, it's about how I treat my brother, my sister, and mostly who is different from me, who is not of the same social status like me, who is not educated like me, maybe who is disadvantaged, who is disabled. How do I look at him? How do we look at the people we encounter on the street who are begging because probably they do not have a job? How do we look at disabled people in our society and in our families? Do we really take care of them? because we all have a common dignity that we share, that is divine, that we receive from God.
So, having explained that, we see that every one of us matter. But you find that in other areas, there are those who are really at risk of being exploited. Do we have particular groups that really are at risk of being exploited? And we find that these particular people, maybe at the end of the day, they are not respected either because of the economical issues or maybe the situations of life. Do we have such?
Yeah, my pastoral commitment is in an area of slum, what we call, informal settlement. So I encounter on a daily basis situation of really violation of human dignity. I mention disabled people. I mention women who, until now, we like it or not, remain vulnerable in our society. I talk about children, and those one I encounter them on a daily basis because I run a program that deals with street children. So when we go to encounter them, we see they are on the street, not by choice, not because they don't want to go to school, but because they have not been able to be supported. Their parents have been unable to pay for their school fees. So they find themselves on the street, exposed. And then, of course, this create issues of criminality. Many of us, we are always crying that my phone has been stolen or I've been attacked. But these are serious issues that they bring us back to the issue of human dignity. That somewhere, when human dignity is not respected by a particular nation, a particular country, then you have situations that you cannot control. Situations of conflict, situations that of insecurity, because people do not have options. So they find themselves that they will sacrifice even their moral values for the sake of survival. So there are many people in our nations that they suffer most, but mostly because of poverty. And poverty becomes a serious issue that contributes to violation of human dignity, either from the individual or even from the community and the society. Yeah.
So in the spirit of maybe synodality, how can we work together at community level, individual level, or even as a nation to help ourselves so that at the end of the day, we are able to protect the dignity of the human person?
Let me say that there is a positive note on that, in the sense that there is a good number of institutions that are involved in promoting human life. We have pro-life organizations that are run by Catholic institutions where issues are addressed, especially when it comes to probably teen pregnancies, young people, issues of contraceptives, issues of abortion. I mean, the church is really on the front line in addressing these issues, and there are many institutions. And we are very happy that there are many stakeholders who are really very much involved in that. But then I believe strongly that we have to go back to education. How do we raise our children? How do we form them? Of course, collaboration is key, that everybody has to be involved, from the laity to the clergy, the church, and then political leaders. Everybody has to be involved. But then everybody has to believe first in life, because as much as it may sound obvious, but our practice, our behaviors, sometimes they make us question if really we all believe in life, if we are really committed in promoting and protecting our lives. So in our daily basis, our daily activities, our actions should really tell that we are working towards protecting the life that we have received from God. And collaboration is key, working together is key, and personal commitment, each individual commitment can bring a big difference.
Wow. Yeah, that is good. That is true. That when we work together collaboratively in the different institutions, then there is change. Then we come back now to our Lent. We have come all the way, we have been thinking, and at this particular time, the church brings in the issue of the sanctity and the human dignity. As we fast, as we do whatever we are doing, so that we offer our prayers, what would you encourage us to do during this particular Lent in relation to the issue of human life and respecting human life?
The Lent is a holy period. It's a period of grace. It's a period of meditation and reflection, where Christians, we are invited to reflect on our personal relationship with God and also with one another. And therefore, it is very important that as we reflect on our relationship with one another, with our brothers, and even when we are fasting, we fast because we want to sacrifice something for the less fortunate, because we want to care about others. So it is very important that this journey of conversion really is rooted in our belief system, that we may change and transform our perception of life and even our perception of a human person, that we are able to see in each individual the image of God. So it is a journey of transformation, and this transformation will be effective and bearing fruit if I am able to see in my brother, in my sister, the image of Christ. And therefore, I will treat him, I will treat her with respect. I will treat him, I will treat her not according to her status or his status, but because he is a human being. He is a gift from God. He is loved by God, and he is willed by God.
So as we come to the end of our reflection, we want to ask you, what is the parting shot that you can give us? That as we begin this week reflecting on the likeness and the image in us of God, then what will you tell us, the parting shot for that?
Now, as we journey towards Easter, now that we enter into the third week of Lent, the church is inviting us to look at life as a gift from God. Now, creating by God, redeemed by Christ. Christ comes to give us back the life that we lose through sin. And therefore, it is my call and my invitation to each Christian that we take this path of valuing our life as a gift from God. And this path starts at a personal level. Because if I am able to value my own life, I'll be also able to value the life of the other. And therefore, this third week, I would like to invite us to reflect on our own life, reflect on our daily actions, and ask ourselves, do my actions really promote life or destroy life? Already at a personal level, my daily choices, do they promote life or destroy life? And then from that, we commit ourselves to protect the life in the others, in our brothers and sisters.
Thank you very much, Father. And I think that is the best that we can ask ourselves during this particular Lent, that do your activities or whatever you are doing promote life. That is very, very encouraging for us to think about. Thank you very much, Father.
Welcome, sister.